Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. Now let's go buy some gems. We need augmentation, alteration, chance, transmutation, maybe some wisdom.
My knowledge.
Okay, so I wanna buy an aura from this guy called Hatred. There it is. You and nearby allies gain 16% of physical damage as extra cold damage. You and nearby allies deal 14% more cold damage. So this is an aura. You'll see how it works in a second. We also need generosity support. So any aura that is linked to this gem will not work on us, but it's gonna work even better on our minions and on our allies. Now I also want Bladefall. And we will take out ethereal knives for Bladefall. This is how it looks, this is how it works.
It's so good.
I don't think I need to explain why I took Bladefall. Now what else do I want? I want meat shield support. Minions from supported skills have 20% chance to taunt on hit. Minions have movement speed. They deal more damage to enemies that are near me. My minions also take less damage, and minions are also defensive. I'm gonna put that on my raised zombie. And let's see. I think that's about it for now. Yeah, there are more gems that I wanna buy from this guy, but the thing is, I don't have the slots where to put them.
Is precious.
So, let's see. I could take this for my animate weapons. I could take this for my animate weapons. I need second wind. I'm going to take this gem. And I want to use it with my flame dash. Since it reduces cooldown for flame dash. And yeah, that's about it for now.
Remember, life is precious.
Okay, I need to use these two. So let's see, how should we do this? Maybe try to get more sockets on our boots. 3 sockets. I don't think I can get 4. Now let's link them. Nice. Now let's recolor them. I need at least 1 green and 1 red. Red, green, blue. Why not? And I'm gonna put here, let's see, Convocation, why not? Flame Dash, Second Wind, and... I don't know, we will see. I would also like to use my Raise Spectre somewhere, but... let's see if I can buy something. A 4-socketed helmet. Why not?
Stay out of the shadows.
Okay, so I'm gonna put my aura here. And my Bladefall. Then I'm gonna put my Flesh Offering and Desecrate here. And then I'm gonna recolor my chest. Put my Raise Spectre here.
Talamuana.
I'll just take minion speed for now.
Fortune favor you.
Now this is only temporary stuff. Basically, Raise Spectre allows me to raise any fallen enemy to fight for me. So I'm gonna use Desecrate and summon dead bodies, and I want this Flame Sentinel to fight for me. And there it is. We can now only have one. We can take another Raise Spectre from our skill tree. We will also gain more Raise Spectres once we level up this gem, but for now this will do. And now let me summon some zombies. Also, let's activate our aura. There it is, Hatred on Control W. Aura is a buff that works on you and nearby minions or allies. You only have to turn it on once, but if you die, you will have to turn it on back again. And as you can see, it also reserves some amount of mana. This way you can only have few auras activated at the same time. There are ways to get lots of auras activated, but that's a discussion for another time. And now finally, let's go and ascend our class.
You stand before the gates of the Lord's Labyrinth. Within these walls, the Lady of Justice doth preside. She shall weigh your mind in one hand, your heart in the other. Should she find you wanting, death shall be your sentence. Should she find you worthy, you will be given the loyalty and love of an empire. The Lord's Labyrinth awaits you. Choose wisely, strike quickly, trust completely, and may you find the ending that you deserve. The just goddess presides over us all. The future of the Empire rests in her even hands.
Now here we can choose to open one of 4 labs. Each lab has its own difficulty, and at the moment we can only open the first and easiest one. But first I wanna show you one cool site because it can help you finish the lab faster. Okay, so just like in game, we have the first lab, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. And since we wanna finish the first one, we will click on the first one. Now this is the map or layout for the first lab. It has a countdown to daily lab reset, which means that this layout changes every day. So we start here, then we go here. This is an icon for the boss. We will fight the boss. Then we will go here. From this point we can go here or here. Now in my opinion, you should not explore the lab. You should try to finish it as soon as possible, because if you die, you will lose that progress and you will have to start from the beginning. If you get disconnected, you will also have to restart it from the beginning, so just finish it as soon as possible. The only thing that I care about in lab is the Dark Shrine, this red D here. The Dark Shrines give you buffs that can help you a lot in the lab, especially on the boss fights, so maybe I'm gonna go here and take this Dark Shrine, then fight the boss, then go here, take this Dark Shrine, then go here, and then go on a final boss fight. Now this is a silver door which can have some loot behind it, some cool loot, some good loot, but I honestly don't care about that. I just wanna finish this as soon as possible. Now here we can check out our current location.
In the impressionable youth of my reign, I was encouraged to believe in the precious nature of my imperial blood. The divine claret, as one fool of a courtier would repeat with tiresome regularity. Unfortunately, my divine claret refused to pour from one cup to another. Try as I might, with a lovely procession of young and ever dutiful wives, my noble seed simply would not sprout. Who then to choose as my worthy successor? With the candidates on hand either mediocre at best or maniacal at worst, I found myself in quite the quandary. That's when fortune took me by the hand and led me to a forgotten tome on a forgotten shelf in the quietest corner of San Library. A tome entitled Ancient Traditions of Asmarian Ascendancy. The rest, one might say, is history.
too great.
Now every lab is filled with traps and you should be really careful.
The weary traveler draws close to the end of the path. The Azmeri were the first culture known in history to use trials of strength, wisdom, and spirit to select its chieftains. The first Lord's trial was a rough-hewn maze festooned with wild animals and brutal traps, crafted to test aspiring Azmerian leaders' body, mind, and soul. In conquering the adversities of the maze, a champion proved they were capable of bearing the crushing burden of chieftainship. The first trials were simple contraptions reflecting simple times. As the Azmerian civilization grew in number and complexity, so did the trials, from treacherous mazes to bewildering labyrinths. Alas, there are no surviving descriptions of the labyrinth that tested and proved the worth of Viruso Prima Imperialis. I imagine it was quite something to behold. Slowness lends strength to us. Give no quarter. You are inexhaustible. Wisdom is the offspring of suffering and time.
The son of Ezemir met the son of San upon the road to the imperial throne. The Eternal offered his cunning, his eyes and ears bought and paid for. The Ezemite offered his strength, his sword, earned in the arena. A pact was forged, with the Labyrinth as witness. Two men separated by blood, two men bound by hope, two men and only one emperor.
Okay, so we can go kill the boss, or I'm gonna go get the shrine, just to show you how to find it, because it's kinda hidden. Or wait, I have a better idea.
When the time comes to strike, an emperor strikes without hesitation. To entertain doubt is to dance with death.
We can exit here and spawn in a different map. As you can see. Now let's go find that dark shrine.
The Ezomite and the Eternal took their rest in the lee of Strife's gale and remembered the travel. The Ezomite and the Eternal took their rest in the lee of Strife's gale and remembered the travelled road. Beast and fiend had fallen and bled to the Ezomite's sword, swift and true. Trap and trial had risen and succumbed to the Eternal's wits, quick and shrewd. Two men had cried their triumph, a warrior and his guide, whilst other ascendants echoed their pride with anguish and agony.
Ready and not before.
Okay, now here's the Dark Shrine. How do I know? Normally all that we see are the walls, but on the minimap you can see that there is a hidden room. So there is a switch that will open a hidden path. And there it is.
The pursuit of power can be a grotesque affair.
Now, if you want to see what you've got from a Dark Shrine, you need to press tab, and it's going to be written right here, in the upper right corner. So we got an additional use of Divine Font. Divine Font is a enchanting table or altar which enchants your equipment, and we got a buff to use it twice, since by default you can only use it once.
The Asmeri were consummate survivors. They had to be, having been sired in the most inhospitable range of mountains in all of Rayclast. Unfortunate, some might say. I do not. I believe it was the making of them, and of us, their descendants. So it is no wonder that they developed the Lord's trial. With survival being a moment-by-moment concern, that harried people grew to understand power quite intimately. Strong leadership is able to bridge the chasm between existence and extinction. Poor leadership might see an entire tribe vanish into that same chasm. When the Asmeri descended from their mountains to conquer the fecund lands of central Rayclast, they thrived and multiplied with utmost alacrity in those more forgiving climes. For is it not poverty that teaches us how we might excel in times of plenty? The Emperor beckons and the world advances.
When I'm ready, and not before.
Give of yourself. Such resilience. Royalty is a fire that spreads quickly if the forest is dry.
I need more mana.
Okay, we wanna go here, but there is also Divine Shrine in this map. So let's go find it. And there it is. It's a hidden area, you can see it on the map. I don't know if you noticed it, but I clicked here.
From our primitive past.
We are now affected by Diamond Shrine. Now you can also see this buff in the upper left corner of your screen, where you can see all of the buffs that your character has, and when you hover over it, it's gonna tell you what it does. And this one allows us to always deal a critical strike.
The warrior bled upon Azaro's stones and cursed Azaro's ilk. He looked upon the walls of his tomb, built by his masters, his enemies, and called for the first ones to carry him to the forest and fields of his Ezomir. Yet while the first ones remained silent, the guide did speak. Of secrets planted by clever hands enslaved by gold. And with one such secret, plucked the life of the warrior from the first one's jaws.
Okay, we need to go here, but first let's find the Dark Shrine. Now these traps leave a bleeding effect on you, and with bleeding effect, the more you move, the more health you will lose. So if you get hit by these traps, all you have to do is just stand in one place for the bleeding effect to go away.
When I'm ready, and not before.
Izaro will drop an additional unique item on death, and if you don't know, Izaro is a final boss in the lab.
aspirant can afford to be promising. An emperor must keep those promises. The custom of the Lord's trial was upheld throughout the founding years of the Empire. Verusso's successor, Caspiro, was a low-born legionnaire, the lone survivor of a labyrinth that claimed the lives of every high-born contender, including Verusso's only son. Caspiro proved to be every bit the emperor that Verusso was. Alas, the Lord's labyrinth was corrupted by those with the vanity to consider their blood more precious than their empire. Selfish blood breeds selfish times, and the Empire paid for it with its own blood, with the Knight of 1,000 Ribbons, with that most regal of cannibals, Emperor Romira. Not anymore. I, Isaro Frecius, shall return us to justice. I shall build the greatest Lord's labyrinth in Asmerian history, and my successor shall be chosen by the goddess herself. Only when the Lord's labyrinth is drenched in selfish blood can a true leader ascend the throne.
The guide led the warrior down a path that wound and twisted through fields of blossoming promises, green-bladed hopes. The warrior closed his eyes, a mere moment to feel the warmth of the sun on his back and to drink from the guide's prophet flask. Now the warrior staggers and crawls down the wounded, tortured causeway. The bitterness stings his weeping eyes, the fire roars in his belly, consuming him. The warrior will not ascend. Instead he hunts, guided by his love for Esamir.
When I'm ready, and not before.
Destination is more dangerous than the journey ascendant. Before your emperor, you are worthy. Before the goddess of justice, you are worthy. Receive our blessings, embrace our gifts, and rise, Ascendant. For this is the ending that we all
Now the first thing that I want to do here is click on this as soon as possible, because this is the whole reason why we played through the lab. Okay, so now we can choose one of 3 subclasses. We have Occultist, we have Elementalist, and we have a Necromancer. Now this is only for a Witch class, and I'm gonna pick a Necromancer.
embrace the serene power that is undead.
So for the Ascendancy class, we have 2 points at the moment. And for the start, I'm gonna take these 2, because they give me more minion duration, and that's something that I want for my animated weapons. Okay, we can use Divine Font on our gloves only. trigger the word of fire. Let's do it again. Trigger the word of light. Okay, let's see. We have 2 treasure keys, so which one should we open? And we're done here. Now we can leave.
Still breathing, eh? Bring me back something nice, huh?
Look at the sheen on that plum. Is it not the most delectable fruit that you've ever seen? No? Perhaps the gloss of hope is for my eyes only. Wondrous! Nothing bonds two souls more soundly than murder. For that reason alone, I knew you could be relied upon. Now, for a little amateur vintnering. A quick squeeze of the plum, like so, into the decanter. Oh my! Look how it transmutes the juice so swiftly, from material to spectral. Effortless. And what an aroma. Imminent death never smelled so sweet. I believe I shall call this fine concoction the Imperial Nightcap. Now, before I get too carried away, there's the small matter of your recompense. A toast to swift endings and promising new beginnings. Oh, and you might want to avert your gaze once I have quaffed this diabolical brew. I doubt that my return to solidarity will be a pretty one. Right. As I used to say in the love dens of Trathus, bottoms up, girls! Oh my. Now that's an unusual sensation. Oh dear, something is amiss. The All Flame, it's... No, it's gone out! What am I... What are you? No, you cannot be. I will not...
Poor sailor boy, doomed to go wherever the winds blow him.
Oh my. Now that's an unusual...
My dear Chitters, the Empire has lived in fear and ignorance since its inception. Our Asmiri ancestors, in their arrogance, turned their backs on the lessons of the Val. The emperors before you lacked courage, lacked vision, paying lip service to eternity while scrabbling for approval and comfort within the prison of their meager, mortal lives. You are not one of those emperors. You are Chittus the Great, the man who will make this empire truly understand the meaning of the word eternal. We shall build this thaumatocracy together, my emperor, gem by gem, immortal by immortal. Your devoted servant, Malachi.
When I'm ready, and not before.
Okay, now I'm not gonna go here because this is where we came from. Now the bubble that some of the enemies have here is a proximity shield, and you can only damage them from within that shield.
I'm ready, and not before.
Fight the master that called you here?
I need more mana.
Face of God, exile. Die! The touch of God! This world is an illusion, exile.
No one will cry for you, Dominus. Not a soul.
Now this is the place where you unlock the Scion class.
You have mounted the summit of the Empire, not a cockroach. You have crushed the bug Emperor and wiped his maggot dreams from the skin of Rayclast. Dominus exiled you, naked and alone, unto the palm of death. But you would not die, would you? No. No. You cuddled death, promised it the world, made it your consort, and so generously shared it with all your fleeting friends here in Rayclast. Not once did you forget what you were. Not a cockroach feeding on the corpse of a dead empire, like the pests you crushed as you walked. A woman. The sort of woman that planted the seed of this empire right here in Sam so long ago. What teetering and twisted life it still holds dear, this land owes to you, witch. Of course, there will be more. You know that, don't you? Emperors. Avaricious little pests scrabbling to steal the legacy of their betters. Unless we burn that legacy, sear its infection from the flesh of existence. Go north, my lovely unbug. Go to Highgate, to the beginning of the end. Dive headlong into the nightmare sea. Catch and roast yourself a nice big fishy.
To kill a man like Dominus. That's an accomplishment worthy of Kalm, my greatest ancestor. Were we in Namakanui, I'd make you a Makanga, an honored warrior. But we are not in Namakanui. We dwell in a city of death, and my respect is all the honor I can bestow on you. You have claimed the most worthy of prey, Makoru. Piety and Dominus, the harbingers of nightmare. I'm not saying the war is over, but you've given Rayclast a much-needed respite. Because of you, this land lives to see another dawn. Talakora.
What is it?
Mind over me.
That water just reeks of corruption. Let's see where it comes from. When I'm ready, and not before. That would just make life complicated.
We opened the gates to you for two reasons only. Dominus, and Piety. They made themselves our enemies. You made them dead. Now, Oyan believes there is a third reason. The beast is our enemy. Perhaps you can make it dead as well. I have seen the look in Piety's eyes. I see the look in your eyes, Witch. It is not as different as I had hoped. No matter. The knife in your hand is better than the spear in the rack. Oyan has ordered me to help you, to trade with you. I have risked much to gather weapons and armor for this Akara. I've scavenged on the fringes of Vol's encampment and scouted the dead city. Let us see if you can offer any value in return. May fear guide you.
You are most welcome here, sister. What you did back there in San, it was truly
terrifying. Don't get me wrong, Piety, the rest, they had it coming. But there's no one like that here. These Maraketh, they're good people.
She knows that. Please, sister, ignore Pataris.
My grandfather was a captain in the Ebony Legion. My father too, and me. Just following the path that had been laid out for me.
Until you met me.
Yes, until I met the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen.
Behind bars. An exile waiting to become an experiment. Not quite how I imagined meeting the man of my dreams.
I realized then that I wasn't a part of the Ebony Legion anymore. I'd become a blackguard like every other damned legionnaire in San, taking orders from a madman.
Pataris freed me and led us here.
I'd heard about the Maraketh from those few legionnaires who survived the assault on Highgate.
And I talked them into harboring us.
Vanya can be very persuasive when she wants to be.
Kira is a racist bully with that fancy hair crest of hers stuck so far up her.
Come on, Vanya. She's a warrior. It's not her job to be nice. It's her job to defend...
Look all lithe and sweaty when you're watching her train. That's the only job you're interested in.
I'm studying the Maraketh fighting style.
Sure you are, sweetie. We've a few bits and pieces lying about that might help with what's to come.
Bits and pieces? I risked my neck to salvage those artifacts.
I know, sweetie, and I really appreciate your artifacts.
You didn't say that when I brought them in. You said, is that all?
You'd been gone for ages.
And you think you could do a quicker job?
Yes, if you'd let me, yes.
No, not for all the jewelry in the world. What if I lost you?
Okay, I'm sorry. We have charms and regalia sourced at great risk from some of the most dangerous places in Rayclast. Better?
Yes, thank you.
I heard of the beast before coming here. Piety talked about it. I suppose she saw no point in keeping secrets from the people she was planning to murder.
I'm so sorry, Vanya.
God, it's not your fault, Pataris. But Piety used to say that the beast was the source of her power. How she managed to turn poor men and women into those... things. She kept using a phrase. What was it?
Universal transmogrification. I heard her assistants talk about it too.
The power to change the world into anything you like.
Bloody scary power in the hands of someone like Piety.
Bloody scary powerful stop.
Many great things begin at the foot of a mountain, exile. So too do many tragedies. Often a path becomes a fork, and the echoes of your actions push you down one side or the other. Do you know where you are being carried? Would you like to? See.
And we will continue this in the next episode, so if you liked this one, give it a like, dislike if you think it sucked, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.